And now it's my pleasure to welcome our guest from Poland, Maciej Jakub Zawadzki.
Hello everyone, it's a really nice crowd. My name is Maciej Jakub Zawadzki. I come from Warsaw, Poland. I represent an architectural office called KAMJZ Architects. We are right now 100 people altogether. We do a lot of work in Poland, but as well we're really focused on international projects. And thank you very much, Struktum, for having us here. The topic that I want to talk about today is the future of urban utility structures. Why it's important to think about infrastructure at these moments. Right now, people are moving towards the cities. In 2050, 2/3 of the population are going to live in cities. The infrastructure is going to grow with them. There is also a big development pressure on infrastructure. A bunch of investments are being made in Europe and the United States on a worldwide scale. And then infrastructure basically has a bad reputation normally. It's basically just plain ugly sometimes. And hiding eyesores becomes more harder every year, once the cities grow. So we can't continue the old model of a single use of infrastructure. We have to think about the leftovers. Once we build a city, once we claim a piece of land, we have to think what we give in return. So maybe we should think about combining it with another use. There is a big need to contribute to better public realm experience through the design, for example. And here's a list of our proposals that we did in the previous years and this year as well. Some projects are concept projects, some are going to be pretty soon, like in 1 month under construction. And most of them we actually did with structural engineering companies that verified if our ideas are not utopian or banal. We work closely with Arab Engineering or biuras. The first project that we want to show is located in the United States. It's a bridge over a highway. Now, like in every country, in every city, in every capital, you have a river crossing the city. Here in Atlanta, you have a 14 lanes highway that basically cuts the city in half. And we thought about doing something different, not just a bridge, something that actually gives something for the community, that performs in a certain way, that is just not a simple connection, because it's not about just creating the shortest link. This is the view of the current bridge location on 10th Street in Atlanta. And you can see the so-called connector, which basically does not connect anything, it just divides the city in half. And we didn't create a shortest link. We created an area for socializing, a green rooftop, reprogrammable, which acts as well as a roof that shelters people. Now, once people enter Atlanta, they mostly pass by. They don't stop because of this connector. It's a big highway and people just move in the United States from one place to another, from one city to another, and they just pass by Atlanta, sometimes without seeing the important pieces of it. So we thought as well about using the underside of it, and we put a stainless steel ceiling which reflects important places in the city. This is the view from the underneath of it, the ceiling. This project actually was a competition entry proposal. We were the finalists in it. We won the second award, and then the people in Atlanta, they voted. We won the People's Choice Award. 3,500 people locally voted for this project. So the local community wanted this. And the rooftop can shelter places for activities downstairs. And of course what's important is thinking about how this building, how this structure can improve the conditions, the local conditions. Here, actually, we tested various options of plants which can filter massive amounts of CO2. And we combined them with a landscape architect. And this project was done together with Arab Engineering. So the structure is pretty advanced. It's a steel structure. The profiles have 2 meters. And of course, the building as well, is, since it's in a connector, it's really combined with the lighting installation, which is pretty important in a highway. This is another project in the United States that we did. It's in Philadelphia. Here there is a big need to gather water. Actually, water is the next oil. Pretty soon there's going to be a massive deficit of potable drinking water. And people, communities, they don't know how to gather it, how to harvest water, as it is in Philadelphia. So the city council had a big concept of creating a series of water tanks, which we combined efficiently with some other use. So they would not just be boring boxes standing on rooftops or on the ground. This is the current situation, the current location of the project. And there is a big need for pools, because before Philadelphia had a big team of swimmers, and swimming was really popular back then. And more and more swimming pools are being created in the city, and we thought maybe it's worth to combine it to alter the current situation and have a 2-in-1 effect with water tanks that always need to be next to swimming pools, where you filter the water as well. And you could as well have additional sports, additional functions there. And as for something that it was just before detached from the local community, we get a piece of the city which is open and attracts the people, and you have the water tank as the main visual attractor. Of course, we also deformed the area so the water could be collected easily and sent to the water tanks. And the whole area has inclinations which lead the water. This is the top view of the whole setting. Another, of course, project which is important in our portfolio are projects where we deal with refurbishing something that already exists in a current location. This is a project in Sofia, in Bulgaria. There is a heating plant, and the city had a concept of reusing it for some kind of purpose. And we thought, how much to the maximum can we use a neglected post-industrial building? For now, it's just an unused building which is totally detached from the city, but it's surrounded with a beautiful park. This is the current location, the photos. And we thought it has a huge potential to do something which is related with a lot of people activity. This is the site visit. And we thought about proposing a cultural center there, and using the existing situation with the corridors, the technical corridors, to detach the creators, the people that need a little bit of patience, silence, from the guests, and to create as well workplaces for those artists. So this is a section view of how people can be easily separated or connected in various places in this location. We came up as well with schemes of how to create add-ons, so workplaces, without totally interfering with the current building tissue. So add-ons which are really related with the work that people do, that the artists do. This is the view in the back of this heating plant with the add-ons on top. And then we also introduced something that does not destroy the building. It basically supports its structure. This is a project also done with Arab Engineering. It's a white magic box. It's a concept of a white curtain. Like a curtain wall normally is conceived as a glazed wall in the architectural vocabulary, but actually it doesn't have anything to do with a curtain. Like a curtain is not glass. We thought about reintroducing the curtain wall, having a wall that moves and welcomes the people with a welcoming gesture, but also can be adapted so that you could have, during the day, different situations and different activities depending on the needs. And this is the view from inside, for example. And you can double the space without destroying the building. This magic box acts structurally as well. It has its own structure, but supports the structure of the building, which is also neglected and would need a little bit of reinforcing. This is a section which shows the existing building and our magic box add-on. And from the inside as well, this magic box could alter the location. Could be seen as well from the outside through a fully glazed wall. And then you have the existing structure, the demolished elements that we minimized as much as possible, the excavation works. Basically, a lot of the excavations are already done because we just use the technical corridors in the building. And the extended event hall, so the magic box, and a place of solitude for artists. Depending on the needs, the artist can always shut down from the environment and create in peace. And this also we divided as acoustically. So like the loudest places where you have a gift shop, an entrance, they're closer to the street. A place where you have an event hall is in the middle, and a place with super silence, which is connected with a beautiful park, is in the very back. And the places were well communicated. And then all the add-ons we tested, they're visible from big distances. This is one of the facades after the changes, and the second facade, the elevation. And a section through all the building with the changes. Now this is, I glimpsed through fast those projects, but this is a project that we've been working on it for the last 16 months, as for the concept. And we did the building permit design in 1 month. And we just handed a few days ago the building permit documents to the city officials. And this will be built this year in Warsaw, in Poland. And we were approached at some point by an oil company. And we finally, we were offered to participate in the bid. And we won this bid against Renzo Piano, Meccano, Norman Foster. And we won the bid to design the future the flagship station, which is not a normal petrol station, it's a building, but a petrol station of the future. And we just got a title from the client. All of the rest, including the marketing strategy, we had to come up with. We have solutions that basically were never done, not only in Poland, but in Europe and in the world as well, since Shell operates in every corner of the world. So basically, the solutions here that we applied are related with combining a fuel station with a green charging facility. The current situation looks like this. It's in the south of Warsaw. There's an existing station there positioned, a Shell station. It's a typical normal station, which later we are about to change into a flagship station. So the biggest station for all the country. And it's a building. It was supposed to be something representative. That's why it was positioned close to a highway that is being built around the city, which will be basically something where people are going to pass by and just they're going to enter Warsaw to fuel. This is the current situation and how it's going to change. So the amount of traffic will increase drastically there, and we also had to take this under consideration. But the most important thing here in a car-oriented facility, we thought would be to put the man in the center again, like it was done in the 20th century in the beginning when the filling stations were being created. First you had groceries and a little bit of oil, petrol. Later it changed and you had more oil and a little bit of groceries. Now the petrol stations, they make more from actually the things that are being bought in the station that is not oil. So it's basically the history turned again, but made a circle. But we thought this is a really nice opportunity to think about the man. And then already from a distance, the station will look different from all other stations. A normal station has, because of city regulations, on a worldwide scale, a little bit of grass around it. It's mostly unused. It's a place where people just cross to make their way shorter to the shop. And then the roof is mostly detached from the shop. So it does not rain on top of your head once you're fueling, but once you're going to the shop, it does. So it's not that much logical in some cases, and we thought, why not combining it? Having the amount of grass which is needed in the city regulations on top of the roof, which actually shelters the people, the users, entirely. And this green area is being used as a place to socialize. And in order to think about the man, we thought what kind of drivers we have in Warsaw. Well, as in other cities, basically. Drivers are different, like people are different. One is a slower driver, the other one is fast-paced. The other one likes to, can wait in the station. The other one has to move on faster. So has to pay and go as fast as possible and doesn't have time to rest. So we have a family driver and a road warrior. And when those type of drivers meet, collision happens. But not always like physical collisions, but logistical collisions. People wait always in lines. They spend a lot of time in lines, and they meet either, they bump onto each other on the streets, or petrol stations. Once, for example, you're waiting for someone to go out of the parking place. Or someone parks the car and goes to pay for the fuel, but then buys something to eat. So we divided the drivers proportionally, thinking about, like, we did a small research how many drivers of this type and the other we have in the city. And we assigned corresponding fueling methods to each type. So you have normal standing dispensers, and you pay inside the station. And then we introduced something new, the hanging dispensers, which guarantee a fast service. You pay with your cell phone, by the dispenser. You can pay with a card as well. And the hanging dispensers, they're mostly popular in Asia, because cities are really packed there. You don't have a lot of space. And when we were asking why actually we don't have this nice feature in Europe, the answer was, well, just because. because in the 80s, the concept of a modern filling station was created, and since then, nobody changed it. And then oil companies were just copying ideas from each other to create as fast as possible a concept for an MOP station, so it's a network station, something that you build from a catalog, which was never done by architects before. Shell never worked with architects before. So this allows actually to fuel fast, to have a nice view, not to have visual obstructions, and to relate with each other, with the other customer, because you don't have a big box that blocks you from someone else. And then a horizontal layout of dispensers, which is not efficient enough for our case, we turned into vertical, which improves circulation and functionality. And we created connections to it. So we have a very well-lit forecourt. And then on top, we were really inspired by racing cars. Actually, our client is one of the sponsors of F1 team, Formula 1 team. Oh, I'll just go back here. Can I go back? Okay. And the top basically would have hanging dispensers with fuel, and next to them you would have charging stations, so also cables which are hanging from the rooftop. And smart infographics. Normally you have all those banners in the filling stations. We basically put in the ceiling, which normally is pretty unused in filling stations, petrol stations. It's pretty thick. I always thought, what's inside? I mean, like, it's 80 centimeters. Is it like foam which drops when something is on fire? No, because the guy just comes with an extinguisher. Is it like a type of, I don't know, insulation? Or no, it's just like this because of the branding of our client, which was later copied by all companies in the world. So you have a really thick structure to support something that could be thinner. So basically, we could play with the ceiling. We could play with the roof itself. And we basically added the things that are always left out somewhere. And we used them to direct the people. So a car fleet management system shows you basically which station is available, which is not, where you need to go, and also helps out for the service people to know who paid for the fuel and who didn't, because it's a pretty popular case that people just forget as well to pay for the fuel. And then we altered, since on top we needed to have a place for a shop with sports cars. We altered the ramp, which is changed so that a sports car could enter. And a one-level station we changed into a two-level station, which guarantees performance. And all this concept is based on performance. It's a pretty simple shape which derives from circulation and functionality and comfort, of course, for the users. And something super important is adaptability. Once we're talking about fuel cars, nobody knows what's going to happen in the coming years. Fuel hanging dispensers guarantee that the space can be adapted to different cases. You could hide it and have a lot of place to socialize and have events in the first floor. You can totally detach the first floor from this ground floor. And we have as well a sitting area. Once you charge your electric car, you wait like minimum 20 minutes. A Tesla is charged 1 hour on the streets. They even have in the commercial that you have to go to have a nice coffee or to go to a restaurant. So here we have a green rooftop and a restaurant and a place with a coffee. We also thought about connecting it with a park and ride system or park and bike ride system. So we have a bike station there. You can park your car downstairs because you have a normal parking place, and you can take a bike and go to work, for example. But with uncertain prognosis related to the incoming oil crisis and the rise of the electric car, which when electricity still heavily depends on fossil fuels. We have to remember that once you use electricity, still in Europe, the electricity comes from somewhere, from mainly, for example, in Poland, from coal, which is not that sustainable. So it's really hard to predict what will happen, so we need to prepare for all possible scenarios. And we adapted all the structure, and we use efficiently the hanging dispensers, which are just basically cables which run through the structural system. And together with Jakub, we came up with a scheme how to, in 1 week, adapt the station from a 100%, well, actually not 100 because we have 2 charging stations, but like, let's say 90% fuel station to a 50% charging station, or later 100%. So adapting it comes easily because it's about like just taking the cables from shafts, from holes, and putting, changing petrol infrastructure into electrical infrastructure. And having 50% station that charge, or 100% station that charge. For now, we opted for a solution where we prepared it and we're just waiting to see what happens. And then the multifunctional structure, the simple shape, guarantees that it's not going to be left over, and infrastructure left over. But later it could be altered and changed as well easily, because all the facades are glazed and are easily detached, and this building could be changed into something else. Now, talking about environmental design in a petrol station might sound crazy. Yeah, it's a dirty place, but we thought, why not starting to think about sustainability in the places which need the most, the dirtiest places. So we used this green rooftop to harvest rainwater, and we asked consultants if it's possible to directly use rainwater to wash the cars. So it is, and we would be recycling rainwater, gathering it and leading it downstairs to water tanks, which are later being connected with the car wash. And this is one of the water inlets. And an additional feature, of course, is the amount of green. So not only we have the amount that the city requests, but we doubled it. And it's a great place for socializing. And before, you had a filling station, a petrol station with technical stuff on top. And here we liberated to the maximum the rooftop. For example, we're using the facade for it, for shafts. And this could be a nice place to socialize. As well, we are thinking about using now the technology, which is basically related with transferring kinetic energy and transforming it into electricity. It's not about saving the world, as for design. Always, it's about like adding to the balance, to the total count, from here from kinetic energy, over there from rainwater, using solar power. So the cars that would be speeding up above would be generating electricity, not in amounts, not big amounts, but enough to, for example, power the distributors. Those numbers that move, they also require electricity. Or to lit the ground floor area. Also the ramps, first we analyze the location. That's what we do always with projects. We see how much can we harvest from it as for natural resources, and what are the dangers as well. So we see what's the wind flow there. And the ramps as well, the orientation of them was assigned directly to protect people and to bring more comfort, because once you fuel, you don't have the rain on top of your head, but mostly it's windy. So the ramps as well, they protect from wind. And then we could have this whole station connected with a bike system, a city bike system, which is not in the area. And this is what we proposed as well to the city officials. And the whole design is based on performance. All the functions that were required square meters wise by the client were there, and of course the marketing issues, which we didn't want to expose. They need to be there, but they're not that visually exposed, the ads. And all the functions we have on the first floor: a car showroom, a restaurant, a fast food downstairs with a drive-through, the shop, and then all the fuel stations, which is highly important. Once you drive, this is the main rule, once you design a fueling station, you need to see the dispensers, because people know then that it's open, that you can always fuel and go there. And then all the technical equipment we try to hide downstairs. And this is the view of the ground floor, first floor, with multiple paths. So we have 3 types of car circulation lying on top of each other, covered with a green rooftop. This is the view from the south, north, east, and then the section. And yeah, we're using efficiently the facade. We also added a green wall, which harvests, because it's covered with moss, it harvests CO2 directly from the streets in the area. And it's scheduled for opening March 2018. And this is a movie about it. Also done by us internally. We just did the project, and later we thought, why not having a whole campaign related to it? So internally in the office we prepared this campaign, and as you can see, some ideas besides the Warsaw project were presented there, and we were offered other locations in Europe, other capitals with the biggest buildings, flagship stations in the countries. Thank you very much for the attention.
Thank you, Maciej, from coming and from your presentation, and we have presents for you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.